Hey, I'm Sebastian Schub, and I'm here chatting with Milky. I've got quite a broad musical background, I guess. I was kind of brought up in blues clubs, played there kind of every evening from the age of 17 till now. I lived in Dublin for a while, so kind of Irish folk music was quite relevant for me. I did lots of busking there as well, and used to play all those really like late songwriter nights at Whelan's and at Doyle's in the city, and they really had quite a profound impact on me as well, I guess. I think the most valuable thing I learned is kind of trusting your own taste. And I think trusting is a combination of finding a balance between trusting your own taste and trusting an audience response as well. Because you can go on and write the best thing ever, you think, and then you play it to a crowd and no one reacts. And sometimes you're just having a bad day. The crowd's just having a bad day. But sometimes the crowd's right and it's not as good as you thought it is. I think figuring out that balance between what I like and what the crowd likes, and walking that walk was something very valuable to learn, just gigging a lot, I guess. I guess Ruin Me really was one of the very first songs I wrote and produced, kind of quite selfishly in a way, just for myself. I very much just kind of made a song that I wanted to listen to without any regard for what anyone else would think, which I think, again, is a kind of a theme in any artist's life, is kind of walking that line. And that song, I kind of went with, screw it, I'm just going to make something I think is sick and not care if anyone likes it or not. And I end up with something I think that lots of people have really enjoyed, which is wonderful. But yeah, that kind of is how it came about. I guess Kiss Me Till I'm Bleeding. I like that line. I like that lyric. I mean, I'm repeating it a lot throughout the song, I guess, because of it. I've always loved the dichotomy of beauty and violence, and kind of choosing injury for the sake of pleasure. I just find that fascinating, because how I think a lot of people kind of choose their own misery quite willingly in life. Open their legs to the disaster, I guess. And I find that quite fascinating, because I'm the same, I can be quite self-destructive sometimes. I think it's just wonderful. I don't know, the response is, to us, just being quite grateful and happy about it. I think music's quite personal thing, and I think there's a kind of surrealness with the internet where you can make something in your bedroom, or in my case, in my little moldy basement, put it on the internet, and it reaches people around literally on the other side of the planet. And I think it's just nuts. I think I'm still kind of figuring it out. I guess there's certain things that repeat. Like, I do like to write all my own lyrics. It's not something I love giving away. Sometimes I do when I collaborate with people, but mostly, even when I collaborate, I kind of go back and hole over the lyrics. I think I'm a big fan of kind of sonics, and people always say there's a... No, actually, sorry. I think the answer is that there isn't really a consistent process yet. Every song kind of comes in its own way. Like, I Can't Believe We're Out Dancing started off as a poem I wrote at 2 a.m. Literally wrote all the lyrics down. Ruin Me started as a soundscape, not as a song. It sounded as like a vibe that then turned into a song. Sing Like Madonna started in a very like classical way that I lied on my bed and wrote a song on guitar and then started recording it after. And every kind of song comes at you in a different way. And I think that's fine. And maybe a certain process will reveal itself over time when I'm a bit older and a bit more experienced. Or maybe not. I don't know. I think it's just stealing bits from lots of people that I like, I guess. And just because I produce a lot, it's just spending hours and hours in my basement doing, deleting everything afterwards until you find the thing that you go, oh, that's cool, that's fun. Fine, if it sounds good, it sounds good. There's no kind of right or wrong. If I like it, I'll keep it. And if I don't like it, it'll go. It's a bit like cooking. You just kind of throw stuff in the pan and then you taste it and you're like, no, that does not work. Eventually you get to a point where you're like, oh, this sauce is kind of fire. So there's more music coming after Ruin Me, and I'm working on an album right now, so it's kind of recording that and finishing that is a big priority, I think. And then just lots and lots of live shows. For me, playing live is the most important thing ever. So just getting on the road and playing the songs to people, and that'll be 2025. It is daunting. I think I found a really wonderful collaborator now for it, which is exciting. He's actually from New Zealand. We lived in Sydney for a long time. Dan Hume. He worked on the first two Matt Corby records. And he's wonderful. I think it's just about getting into a room, making lots of tracks, and then curating them after. It's like putting together a gallery. You kind of just make lots of work and then look at how it interacts with each other afterwards, and then gaps will reveal itself. But I've never made an album, so I really don't know. We'll see. It is daunting. Glenn Hansard, Hosier, Jeff Buckley, currently Angel McMahon. Angel McMahon is my most listened to artist of the past year. I've listened to Light Dark Light Again every single day, literally. I would love to work with, this is a bit basic, but I'd love to work with Blake Mills. I think it's a combination of not thinking and listening to the audience. Shape of My Heart by Sting was the first song I learned. It's why I started playing guitar, because I watched Leon, the Professional, and that song plays in the credits scene. I was obsessed with that song for so long, and it's a really difficult song to start playing guitar with, but it took me like half a year and I learned it. Glenn Hansard, Bruno Mars, Spice Girl. This is going to sound disingenuous because we're in Sydney, but I have always dreamt of performing at the Sydney Opera House. I started at the opera in Hamburg, and Simone Young, who's I don't know if you know Simone Young, she's a very established Australian conductor. She was the artistic director at the Opera House in Hamburg, and she used to talk about the Sydney Opera House, so I'm kind of obsessed with it. I'm just going to go with Angel McMahon there. Billie Eilish, I think people forget the impact she's had. When that first record dropped, she quite literally changed like the sound of singer-songwriters, like hugely. We're coming back to this in a year. I'll watch it and I'll respond to it. We'll do that. I think we should do that. My God, this is probably a bit serious, but I think my advice for him, I don't know what my advice is, but I would hope that I'm still trust what I like, and I'm still standing my ground for like creatively making choices that I believe in, and not get swayed too much what other people might like. I read like 3 books at all times. Okay, so just finished a book called Cleopatra and Frankenstein, which I think is brilliant. I really liked it. I don't know if anyone's read it. Brilliant. Really, really gorgeous writing. And then that's by Coco Mellors. And then there's another book called The Cause of Love, which I think is also brilliant, by Hélène de Botton. I don't think that's how you pronounce the name, but those two I think are excellent. I'd listen to Alone Again Naturally by Gilbert O'Sullivan whilst the world goes up in flames. I wanted to be an actor. Sorry. I just became a musician. I made my money being a busker and playing gigs, and eventually I just realized that I was thinking about music every single minute of every single day, and I think that was when I was 22. And I kind of surrendered to that.